First in this position, Grandmaster Shahryar Mamedyanov sacrificed the rook!
The art of sacking in chess. Undoubtedly the most exciting aspect of the game. In this series, a guy who sacks a lot at chess is going to walk you through some of his techniques.
Hello everybody, my name is Adam and I'm addicted to sucking pieces in chess. I've got a collection of some opening traps which are not covered on YouTube, so I figured I would make a little series on these traps where I would go very quickly through some lines, talk about them briefly and try to keep the video short. So I would like to start this series with a very common line which you can get all the time if you play the Italian game, and it is the gioco piano. So in this position I really like to play for the Rosentreter gambit with pawn to d4. Now everybody is here capturing with the pawn, which is not the most accurate move, and in this case I would go for something that I call the Saxo Rosen gambit. You can find this on my channel, quite fun stuff. But in today's video I would actually like to look at the line where they play the correct move and bishop captures on d4. So here I would like to recommend you to just capture the bishop, of course, and after they recapture with the knight, you play the move bishop to e3, immediately asking the knight a question, where is it going to go? Because currently now we are threatening to just capture it and win the pawn. So most guys are going to go knight to c6, which is the correct move, and then some guys go knight to e6, which is not the most correct move, but still playable. So let's just start with knight to c6. Here, the best move for white is to play queen to h5, but queen to g4 is just way much trickier. So with queen to g4 we are hitting this pawn, we are almost hitting this pawn, and the most correct way for black to defend this is to go queen to f6. Now please notice one thing, our queen is in line of their light square bishop. So black is threatening to push pawn to d5, hit our queen and then win our bishop. So what we can do about this is just not care and pretend like we suck at chess and just develop knight to c3. So this way most guys are going to push pawn to d5 to do the exact thing I just mentioned. And here you can either throw in this intermezzo take back proposal just to invoke a false feeling of security in your opponents, or you can just simply play the move queen to g3. Of course they are going to capture a free bishop, but this is where we hit them with knight to d5, hitting their queen, but also aiming at this c7 pawn, which would fork them. If black tries to go and defend the c7 pawn, well, this will just let us win a free rook in the right corner. So the better option for them is to keep an eye on the g7 pawn with queen to g6. But this way we are able to just deliver this fork and win the rook in the left corner. Now in this position most guys are going to capture the queen, which is correct. But here we don't capture back. This is important that we first throw in this check with long castles. Now if the king just walks away from this check, this is great, we can capture the queen. They are going to develop the knight to f6 and we go check and then we go checkmate. So they cannot really just walk their king away. After long castling check they need to get themselves pinned like this. In this position we capture with our f-pawn, because we want to put our rook on the open f-file. It is a semi-open f-file. I'm sorry. Did I mention I suck at chess? Anyways, here most guys are shamelessly going to walk their king towards our knight to capture it. This is not going to work for them. We can sacrifice the bishop on a7, and if they capture this, we fork them. They have to go to c7 and we just capture their light square bishop. And here we are just totally winning. If we throw this stockfish is +4, even more. Okay, let's go back. If they don't start this king march, then the second most played move is knight to f6. Here we first want to go rook to f1 and this is where everybody is going to play king to c8. But again, we sacrifice the bishop on a7, and now if they capture, this is even cooler. We don't give the fork, we first sacrifice our rook on f6 as well. And only after they recapture, we deliver this fork. We capture the light square bishop, and if you are wondering why did we sacrifice the rook on f6, well, the reason is we got rid of their annoying knight that was attacking this pawn, and now black is left with this useless inactive knight on the rim and this useless rook in the corner. And meanwhile, we have a super strong knight that is just capable of jumping around, winning all of these weak pawns just like this. Well, I mean, technically that knight was also protecting this bishop, but it's just a small detail. Alright, let's rewind this all the way back to the point where black had to move the knight. And now let's see what would happen if they move the knight to e6. So here I would recommend you to do what Stockfish recommended me, and that is to go ahead and capture this knight. If f captures the bishop, this is already like very good for white. That's why most guys are going to capture with the d pawn. And here you are going to play the move queen to h5. So with this move we are hitting this pawn and we are almost hitting this pawn. And that's why most guys here are going to once again play queen to f6 to defend their pawns. Now we are going to continue with knight to c3, and we would like to get quickly castled long. And in this position, bishop to d7 is the most played move, and after we get castled, black is also castling in most cases, which is wrong. And not only we can play bishop to g5 and we will be winning an exchange, as you can see, but even stronger move is this random knight to b5. Isn't that just a free piece? Well, if black captures, now bishop to g5 becomes even 10 times stronger. They can exchange the rooks, it doesn't change anything. The thing is that if the queen moves away, now this is checkmate. Alright, let's go back. If they don't play bishop to d7, then some people are playing pawn to c6. You know, this is like a usual strategy of black to obscure our knight from jumping into their positions. But this is like already pretty bad for black here. We can get castled. And what do? Like one of the moves that Stockfish recommends for black here is pawn to h6, I guess in order to prevent bishop to g5. Where in this position we can play pawn to f4, looks like a free pawn, which they can capture, and now they are hitting the bishop. And guess our next move. Again, it is knight to b5. What? The thing is, they cannot capture either of the pieces because that would result in a forced checkmate. So, for example, if they would capture the bishop, we go knight to c7 check, and after king to f8, we have queen to c5 check, and after they block this, rook to d8 is checkmate. And if they would capture the knight instead, we capture the pawn with a check, again forcing the king somewhere, and now we have bishop to c5 check, and again after they block this, it is a checkmate. Alright guys, this is it for today's video. Thanks for watching, have fun, and bye bye.